Ladies and gentlemen, we have a crazy news that just dropped regarding Cyberpunk 2077 related to the melee combat system, on how CD Projekt Red is now planning on completely changing up and revamping their melee combat system in the game, because apparently it seems like CD Projekt Red is not really satisfied with how the melee combat system works in this game. They're currently trying to make the melee combat system look and feel and play much more differently from what was already shown in the demos, trailers, and gameplay reveals. Now there's this really informative article which comes from VG247 where they basically say that Cyberpunk 2077, we aren't 100% happy with melee, we're working on it, says CD Projekt Red. We described it as a simple but fun and reminiscent of the combat in Elder Scrolls games, which is fine, but when you compare it with a legitimately shooter like blasting in games, it felt a little on the weaker side. So according to VG247, they're not very satisfied with how the melee combat system worked in Cyberpunk 2077 from their own opinions from playing 4 hours of the early gameplay. And the good news is that CD Projekt Red now knows it, and the studio is now focusing on tweaks and changes to melee combat system right now, as told to VG247 by senior gameplay designer Pavel Kapalan. Now in this article, they've also given us some information on what Pavel Kapala basically said on how they're going to be changing up the melee combat system in Cyberpunk 2077, and this is what Pavel Kapala had to say. We're still a couple of months before release, and I'm actually right now working on the melee combat system. We're spending a lot of time and trying to perfect that, and we basically were not 100% happy with what we have already seen, mostly with visual feedbacks on the hits on the melee, Kapala said, so we're still working on this. I am happy to say that even right now it's much better than it was, and it's going to get much better, and we acknowledge that this is something that we need to perfect basically, but as you said, melee in first-person games are extremely difficult from the get-go. So of course it wasn't an easy task since we basically come from a pedigree of creating third-person perspective games, and that was also a big part of our development to actually figure out how to do the melee combat system in first-person perspective games. So it seems like CD Projekt Red is not entirely happy with how the melee combat system turned out in Cyberpunk 2077. So of course that seems like a very good news, because a lot of people did not like what they already saw with the katana gameplay, because a lot of people actually thought that the game really sucks after how bad the melee combat system looked with the katana gameplay. But from what I have seen from Night City Wires 2's reveal, as far as what they've shown from this little bit of a katana gameplay so far, I think that the melee combat system is a little bit upgraded from what we have already seen in the previous gameplay reveals. And I'm really happy to see that CD Projekt Red is looking into the community feedbacks that people are not really enjoying how the melee combat system works in this game, and they have now planned in order to make that system much better than what they've already implemented in the game basically. So in the final version of the game, we will see a much better melee combat system compared to what we have already seen in the pre-release and all the revealed trailers. Now there's also another very interesting thing that I actually read from VG247's article, which basically says that Cyberpunk 2077 has been ruined by global warming. Now I was really confused on what this basically means. What do you mean global warming? How is this game ruined? And apparently it seems like some places in this game are going to be completely ruined by global warming, and one of those places which is already shown is called as Badlands. Now if you guys don't know what Badlands is, it is one of those deserty places that you start off the game if you choose the life path Nomad. So let's say that you choose to play the game as a Nomad character and you start the game off from these Badland locations. Now the Badland location is basically those desert areas that we already got to see in some of the reveals and gameplay trailers, and there's also one of these concept arts which is shown in VG247's article, which looks really beautiful, and it seems like this place is completely destroyed due to global warming. And a very interesting thing that I got to read from this article is that the global warming in this game is going to be taking over the entire city, like entire Night City, not just the desert area, even the actual city area in the game over time. And this is what the article says: given how significant impact global warming has already had on the contemporary society, it's no wonder that it has consumed entire area by the time Cyberpunk 2077's fictional dystopian rolls out. So according to this article here from VG247, it seems like global warming is going to be consuming the entire Cyberpunk 2077's fictional dystopian world. So I don't know, maybe we'll get to see some kind of changes, some kind of new maps or something introduced in the future as a DLC content. and maybe those part of the places in the game might also get destroyed due to global warming, and that would be a really cool thing if they could kind of add in some of the dynamic weathers like that in the game. Now this is very interesting to see how CD Projekt Red have now implemented some very realistic weather systems and also some of the natural calamities. Like global warming could be a massive destruction, and I can actually see global warming happening in real life over in the future. Maybe when we are in the year 2077, maybe the world is going to be taken over due to global warming because humans are really destroying this earth, man. And it seems like CD Projekt Red is predicting futures here, and I would say what better way to die in the future other than global warming, right? So let me know in the comments down below as far as what you guys have seen so far from the melee combat system in Cyberpunk 2077. Do you guys like it so far, or would you guys like to have seen something different? Because as far as what they've shown, and the CD Projekt Red does agree that the melee combat system so far does not look good, and they're now currently working on making it much better, and this is coming from the gameplay designer Pavel himself. So I'm really curious to see what kind of changes they're going to be bringing out to this game. Hopefully it's going to be good. Hopefully they bring out something really interesting and something unique, because this game is different. This game is in the future and people have very high expectations, and I am really curious to see how CD Projekt Red is going to hold up to those expectations from people, because this game is one of the most anticipated titles of 2020. So the folks of the future, I will be covering a lot of Cyberpunk 2077 news on this channel. So if you guys are interested in watching more content like this, then make sure to go ahead and subscribe to my channel and turn that little bell notification icon on, because if you guys don't turn the notifications on, then you're basically not going to be receiving any of the notifications of my daily videos, and that basically has no meaning in subscribing to the channel if you guys don't have the notifications turned on. So make sure you go ahead and do it, and if you guys enjoy this content, then please feel free to go ahead and drop a like, because it only takes a few seconds of your life, man. Just go ahead and do it, smack the like button. It also helps the channel out and helps me out a lot. With that being said, I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you guys on tomorrow's video. Till then, take care, fams, and goodbye.